I started singing with Justin Timberlake in 2002, where I met his voice coach. Forever that day would change my life as a voice coach, because I was never even trying to be a voice coach. Being at the Super Bowl with Chris Stapleton, singing the national anthem, and then walking off the field only to go right next door and walk back on the field with Rihanna while she's doing the halftime show. It's moments like that that makes me go, oh my gosh, God is my manager.
This is Vocal Talk. We explore how voices are built, cared for, and sustained through conversations with working vocal professionals. No shortcuts, just science, technique, and lived experience. Welcome to Vocal Talk.
Hello, and welcome to Vocal Talk. Today I'm excited to sit down with our guest, Mr. RaAb Stevenson. He's the vocal coach, singer, songwriter, and artist developer who's worked with some of the biggest voices in music, from Justin Timberlake, Rihanna, Dave Matthews Band, SZA, Pharrell, Chris Stapleton, Brandi Carlile, Tyler the Creator, Joni Mitchell, Willie Nelson. The list is staggering. RaAb prepped SZA for the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show, coached Brandi Carlile for her 2026 Super Bowl performance, and has been JT's vocal coach since 2002. He started out as an R&B artist in the 90s, and today he's the voice behind the voices. RaAb, welcome to Vocal Talk.
Thank you. And just one update to that. I started singing with Justin Timberlake in 2002, where I met his voice coach, and forever that day would change my life as a voice coach, because I was never even trying to be a voice coach. I just wanted to be a better singer while singing on tour with him. Vocal producer, yes, and there is a difference. Vocal producing is where you go in the studio and arrange vocals, or if the artist's demo version sounds a certain way, you might flip a melody, change things, how they deliver the vocal. That's vocal production, or arranging harmonies or rearranging things. And as a voice coach, you know, all this knowledge that Robin Wiley gave me during that time, it was absolutely breathtaking. But I didn't become Justin's voice coach until 2006. After singing background 2002 all the way to then. And whenever he calls me, I try and be available as much as I can. And if not, I have a partner that I've referred to work with him, and she's incredible as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but there it is.
I love it. I mean, you've had your hands in so many things for so long. I'm like, it's a blessing to have you. Question would be, what do you have kind of going on in your world right now, just so we can kind of contextualize what you're working on and what kind of is top of your brain at the moment?
Well, right now, it's touring season. That's what I call it. Normally, coming out of, the holidays, I normally start my year off, with festivals in Mexico. One of those festivals is Brandi Carlile's Girls Just Want a Festival, which is one of my absolute favorites because of her and the band's interaction with the fans. And she does this thing called Brandioke, where they'll have a big pool party, and then they'll choose like 10 fans to come up on stage. And then she becomes the backup singer and the backup band for 10 of her fans singing through their songs. Breathtaking. So we'll do that for like 4 or 5 days in Mexico. And then I'll come right back with Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds, and we'll do his festival where they'll have, with Brandi, she'll have like multiple artists, and a lot of those artists I coach as well, or available to work with them on site. And then Dave and Tim, they had Nathaniel Rateliff, who I also coach, and he put on a great show at his festival. And then there's the award season. There's Super Bowl stuff that happens. And this year's Super Bowl, like you mentioned, I had Brandi Carlile, singing America the Beautiful there for that. And then there's also Grammys, and then the Oscars and all that stuff that comes up. And then now just getting ready for award season. And in the midst of all of that, I'm working on a project of my own that I'm getting ready to release, and we'll talk about that later on, to help singers in a different way. And while preparing for but preparing for a tour, there's a lot of other artists that I work with, getting them ready for that. So, we had a run with Mumford & Sons, doing Tiny Desk in DC, and then come back and did, SNL, with Hozier, who I also work with as well, and a new artist named Sierra Hill, who I started coaching the night of that performance, which was pretty insane. And then Chris Stapleton, he performed the night before the Super Bowl. Who's getting ready for some dates, and then Zach Brown band, and then it's a lot. So just getting ready for touring season, and in the midst of all of this stuff going on, we're right in the emergence of allergy season. And I hate to jump the gun, but on my vocal rider, for those of you that don't know what's a vocal rider, what does that mean? What, I got to ride to the store and do that? No, it's a table full of essentials, or a bag that has all the essential vocal things or necessities and stuff like that an artist would definitely need, to pull from in the midst of, a lot of times they can't get the doctor on the phone. I'm not claiming to be the doctor, but I've done this long enough to know that, okay, singers, allergy season is approaching. Don't panic. Just make sure you have certain things on your team, an ear, nose, and throat doctor that you can call and count on and get checked up regularly before going on tour, so they can have a chart on what your vocal folds, or to get scoped so they can see what your vocal folds look like before tour and at the end of a tour. You know what I mean? So you can see how healthy you are going in, how healthy you are coming out of a tour. That's extremely important. And don't panic when it comes time for allergy season. We know when it starts to warm up outside and the pollen, as somebody posted a video saying, look like somebody seasoned my car with lemon pepper sauce, or lemon pepper seasoning. You go out there and touch the car. Now my eyes are irritated, my nose is running, and all this other stuff. And on my vocal rider, guess what I have all my clients ordering? I'm so sorry. I won't apologize. But this right here, and I've tried probably just about every humidifier, whatever you want to call them, on the voice, and nothing works better than this. I call it a micro air nebulizer because it breaks the particles down small enough to get to the vocal folds and loosen up mucus. And why is that important? For several different things for me. And then you can help me out. This is your product, Aaron. I always shout you out everywhere I go.
I appreciate you.
Is that when allergy season happened, we have what I hear, that this mucus overload, the irritation, foreign objects going up the nose. I like to shave my nose hairs, which act as a filter, but it also cuts back the filtration system, where anything flies up there. It can irritate my nasal cavity, produce a lot of mucus. Vegas nerve says send the fire department down there and holds it down with more mucus. Now I got postnasal drip dripping in the back of the throat. Vocal folds are irritated. The soft palate is scratchy, and I'm clearing my throat all the time as if I have reflux, which could also be a part of that as well. But what do I do about this excessive mucus that's sitting on the vocal folds? Well, number one, drink warm liquids. Lozenges also help. But definitely having a nebulizer that does external hydration, and these little purified sodium chloride cartridges. Oh yeah, let me just show you. And you see me holding this over because there's this little plug and play system, like you would when you're in kindergarten. It's easy. You just take the nebulizer, it sits in the spot. And by the way, this little thing that covers it up, don't get rid of that. Most people leave that, throw that in the trash, leave it on, because most of y'all don't dump the extra liquid that's in there out. And if this ain't on, it's going to sprinkle all kinds of salt all throughout there, and it'll be all white and crusted. You don't want that. Yep. But it's a plug and play system, right? And the way I like to use it is that my favorite part of this nebulizer is to basically grab this, hold on to this, so put it back in the case so you don't lose it. And then I like it just like this. I always, for my results, so you could tell me, Aaron, I know I'm doing all the talking, but you got to hear it from my perspective for a second. You just basically take this, you add one of these little sodium chloride cartridges, just like that. There they are, just like this. And you take it off, and then you put it right on top of, right inside the head, just like that. You take that, squirt it all in there, just like that. And then when you turn this thing on, I like this particular tube because on the inhalation, it goes straight to the false folds, loosens up some of the mucus. I'm sorry, I'm a little animated. I get excited. I'm nerding out. Yep, that's the nerd side of me. I like it. Yep. But what happens is Once that starts to loosen up, the body's response is to, number one, you're going to probably want to clear your throat, do that. Or if the mucus comes up, spit that out. Get a spit bottle, spit it out, cover the spit bottle. If it grosses you out, spit it, just get it out of your system. That's the body's version of saying eject. That doesn't belong in here. Because most people, once they clear it up, they swallow it right back down. Guess what happens? It gets trapped by the root of the tongue and where the epiglottis sit, and it just sits in those pockets next to these little thick bumps that sits in there. Yeah, it sounds really gross, but you swallowed, it's your fault. But
Now I'm just imagining you on tour with a spit cup, you know?
man, listen, you got to do what you got to do, because what happens is that mucus, if it's thick and it sits there and it slides right between the folds, or you got the false folds here, right? Let's say, for instance, there they sit like this and it slides here, and once it gets between there, you get that little tickle thing in the throat. I feel like something dripping. Then you do that, and then it goes whoop, and then it just slowly slides back down there. Whoop. Then next thing you know, it gets trapped behind the epiglottis and the root of the tongue. Now you're making these crazy sounds going. It gets crazy. But my whole point is, you do that hydration. And for me, based on my experience of working with singers, about one of those cartridges that give you about 15 minutes of internal hydration, which to me, what I've seen over the period, and of course I can't clock and look at their throat with x-rays on stage, but I have a belt pack where I can hear if the voice start drying out, if they start scratching or clearing in the middle of a show. And then I have another remedy for that as well. But in that process, I would say about an hour and 30 minutes. That's what I think, off of a 15-minute cartridge. But you got to stay on it. Deep inhalations, exhalations, deep inhalations, 15 minutes straight. And that's why I've seen really remarkable results of using that. And it has helped tremendously. Now, that doesn't mean, oh my gosh, I just do 15 minutes of this and I'm good. I don't have to drink no more water. You're wrong. Yeah, internal hydration is going to always work well alongside of using a nebulizer, a micro air nebulizer like my Vocal Mist, which is my favorite right now of all nebulizers.
You know, I don't think I could have begged for better content and a better endorsement than
it's
all
the
that
truth,
you just get.
Aaron, I have you on speed dial, man. I'm like, man, and even with clients that aren't even my clients, yeah, they'll call me and then I'm like, yeah, management, hey, could you just talk to my artist? I'm like, where are you? Let me hear what you say. Oh gosh, this person is having some severe allergy issues. They got a bunch of post-nasal drip stuff happening. They're in a climate where the altitude is really high, like Denver, Salt Lake City, you know, the Gorge in certain instances with artists that I'm not there with. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so let's talk about it. Let's see what's happening. So in dry climates, you could be up north during the wintertime where there's hardly any moisture in the air. Well, it snowed. It's dry air. Yeah, so you're going to definitely need something like that for the external hydration, because the colder it gets, most people stop drinking water. Oh, it makes me so cold. Now you're dehydrated. Or go to Phoenix when it's really dry, and that's a different kind of heat. It's like you sitting in an oven and it's like, oh my gosh, I drank 3 liters of water today. Why am I still dry? That's not enough, man. That's not enough water. Yeah, and you're in a dry climate where it's evaporating as soon as it leaves your pores and your skin, which is the biggest organ in the body. And when that happens, you can't even tell that you're dehydrating. You're going down in flames. And then a lot of times we have to have a doctor come out and hook up an IV to put more fluids in you because you don't think you're not even drinking enough water. So along with drinking more water, I normally recommend that an artist, you know, on show days, get up, go do some cardio. I'm not telling you to run a marathon. Just go do some cardio. Turn the incline on the treadmill up to about 5, and walk at 2.5. That's easy. And if that becomes easy for about 45 minutes, the next day, try it on 6, try it on 7, or turn the speed up to 3. I'm a bit of a maniac. I burn like 600 plus calories in 30 minutes because I turn my treadmill up to 15. And I'm walking at 4.7. Yeah, that's pretty fast. But I'm trying to burn these calories. But it forces me to drink more water while doing that. So I know I'm going to get it in a good sweat. And then by the time I get to the venue, then I'm gonna hit that nebulizer on before the first warm up.
Well, talking about this kind of like warming up process, how much when you're working with artists and for you and for you yourself, how much of it is a full body physical warm up, get the blood moving, versus like focusing on just the instrument, getting the instrument tuned up and working and warmed up for you?
Well, the singing, the sound comes from out of here. Yeah, well, out your mouth first and foremost, but it's made right here. Well, my Adam's apple it houses my vocal folds, the larynx, right? So along with airflow and the vibration or oscillation of that against the airflow, that's where sound is made. Now, singing, if I sit still like this in front of a singer like this, my whole body is locked up. I'm not going to be able to do much. Singing happens throughout the whole body. That little pinky toe that's got that little nail that tears up my socks even comes from there. All the way up from there, all the way through my body. It's a whole body thing. It's a vibration thing, for healing, So when I work with the singer on show days, my process is the first warm up happens before sound check or around that time. That can last anywhere between I try and keep it between 18 to 22 minutes. And I time myself every time. I got my timer right there. I'm like, and to see how fast I can balance out a voice. That first warm up is an investigative warm up for me. It gives me a lot of information on what I need to do before the second warm up. The second warm up happens before the artist goes to stage, and it's not as long. So if I can kind of figure out what they've done, I can kind of hear where the voice is, if it's allergy related, if it's food related, something that they ate that could be irritating the voice. Maybe they didn't sleep well on the tour bus. Maybe they didn't sleep well in the hotel. Maybe they don't have the plush pillow mattress or any of that. It could be okay. It could be family things, things in their life that could have happened that could stress. Stress could cause a lot of that. So that first warm up for me, I'm investigating to see, okay, all right, there's a bit of tension in this voice. I can ask a few questions while working through the voice to balance it out. And then once we finish, between 18 to 20 minutes, sometimes I've been able to get the voice there between 8 to 12 minutes, Okay. And the artist goes right to sound check, and not to do a full show. And it's really a sound check.
They're kind of marking stuff.
Well, it's supposed to be, but some people try and do a full show.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't do that. You either know it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Now, I get big productions. They want to run it over and over and over again. But even with that, people are paying to see you at this point. And if you don't know it, you just don't know it. You know what I'm saying? And not saying let hell rain down on the show, but that's why we hire professionals, people that's going to take this whole thing serious and do the right thing to make sure they get what they're supposed to get out of it. But a sound check is really there to check the system, check the room, because every room is going to change. The sound, the acoustics, check that. And then when the artists go in, they check several songs, making sure they can hear if they're using in-ears or wedges. And then they run through a couple songs, and then they go sit down. They go and relax.
Yeah, I think for the people listening to this too, they're going to be so interested in kind of trying to understand when you're listening to an artist. So say you're working with somebody early on, right? It's your first few times kind of coaching through that warm-up process. I'm curious, like you mentioned tension, but what are the things that you're listening for? What are you responding to in working with an artist?
Breaks in the voice, where they're straining where they wouldn't normally strain at. Unnecessary cracks in the voice, wobbles or warbles in the voice. There's a lot of different things. So let's say, for instance, if I'm singing, I don't know if you get that, but if I'm vocalizing, just let's say, for instance, if I'm going right, and if they're up here, gee 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 gee. It's like, okay, they don't normally do that. Everything cool. I might change my strategy. I might say, hey, you might want to try that. I might get away from the vowel. I might change it and flip the whole pattern around a whole nother way. Instead of saying I hear something wrong, I call my method the Mr. Miyagi method, the Karate Kid.
I saw your Karate Kid mentions. I was curious. What are you doing with that?
Like, when you gonna teach me karate? I'm getting my butt kicked all the time. But that's my whole goal, is that, the less, if I can get the results faster, you know what I'm saying, faster than scaring them. Oh, you're struggling, you're straining, you're singing out of key, or sometimes if they keep singing the wrong note in the same spot, then I'll address that. But for the most part, I'll try and change the strategy really quickly and sneak them into it while distracting them. Manipulation, basically.
Sure. I mean, that's some Jedi stuff for sure.
Yeah, but you have to, because they're already in their head. They woke up and started playing around with their voice before they even come in front of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, they get nervous. They're like, oh my gosh, what's going on with my voice today? I don't know what it is. Yeah. And then for me, I kind of have to be like the weatherman, what's the weather like outside? Where are we? Are we in Denver? Oh, yeah, we're in Denver. So we're dealing with some altitude issues, so like you'll feel it in high, like Mexico City. I worked there from March all the way through to October last year. And the same weights that I'll be pushing up here, they felt extra heavy down there. Altitude.
Yeah.
So imagine when a singer is singing in high altitude places and dry climates, it's going to be even more challenging. So I have to kind of change my strategy on that, as well. There's Wim Hof breathing techniques that you could do to release all kinds of stuff.
Is this the kind of the tension in the belly, the fire in the belly kind of thing? Or is it?
It's all kinds of stuff, man. Yeah. It's all kinds of stuff. Before they would tell you to take a baby aspirin to thin out the blood. I'm not a fan of that, because anything
that sounds wacky.
It's like taking blood thinners. You know what I'm saying? And that I'm not a fan of that, because you don't have to be singing and get caught. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Get a problem.
How much do you think that when you're working with an artist, how much are you adapting kind of how you're thinking about things for that artist, for that voice? Like, are you learning that person's voice first all day? Yeah.
Well, I try not to listen to their music right away, which is
you want to hear them in the room. Yeah.
Well, I have to be in the room. It starts with conversation. Like for me, I'm listening to your voice. I never heard you sing, Aaron, but you sing, right or wrong?
I do sing, yeah.
My point, tenor one, right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, high pitch. Bridge passaggio in your voice starts right here around this A flat over the C.
Yeah, I tend to be a bit head voice heavy, so my first break kind of sits lower than a lot of high tenors. But then once I get above like maybe an E or so, then I'm hanging for a while.
Yeah, it starts just like that.
Yeah.
I go in there and I'll find them in the gym and start laughing and talking and do silly things to try and get their voice to fluctuate and jump around and do all kinds of things like that. And that's just in conversation. And we laughing, and then I leave out. I'm like, oh, got my work cut out for me today. Or I'll walk out. I'll be like, yeah, that's what I need. I just need to hear you say something.
Oh, that's cool. So you're getting a lot of it from speech.
Speech, yes. Yeah. Right away. As soon as I walk in the room and they see me start turning my head, because I'm a lot of times sometimes I think this ear might be a little stronger than this one as far as detail. And then this one right here hears something almost slightly different. Yeah.
You think it's like a right brain, left brain thing?
It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know. Huh. It could be that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times if I walk in and I start tilting my head, I try not to make it too obvious. I try and make it look like I'm looking around at the furniture, but they know what he is there. Oh, he's doing his spy thing. What is he doing now? Yeah. Did I do something wrong? No, I just got to hear what you sound like right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if the singer either did some over singing the night before, or I knew they were going to go out and have a little extra fun. Well, I got to find them in the morning so I can start figuring out what I need to do the next day, game planning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I mean, it sounds like you're kind of working through the anatomical stuff, and you're working through the, what am I hearing? How does that register? But then you're also kind of got this emotional intelligence aspect that's like hard baked in, where you're having to guide them in a way that's going to make them feel confident, like not going to interrupt their flow for the day and all that.
Absolutely.
Were you always doing all three of those things? Was it always kind of this composite picture, or did you kind of start from one approach and have to find your way to the others?
I had to kind of figure it out. I have some really great mentors in the industry that's been in the industry for a long time. With me working with artists, some of the guys that I like to befriend right away are the monitor and front of house engineers right away.
Yeah.
Because they're listening to the degree of how I listen to the artists. That's why I have to have a belt pack and hear them
You've got
out.
an ear in. Are you just soloing them the whole time?
Well, it's not soloing them, but I have the mix of what they're hearing.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I want to hear exactly what the artist hears. Now, I can grab a microphone and talk to the artist. I find that crazy, and I find it distracting to do that to artists.
Yeah.
Some artists like it. I don't, as a singer. Because at the end of the day, I'm singing and telling stories, and I want to connect with these stories. And if I can connect from here, where the material comes from, then it can be sent here in my heart, and then I can minister out that direction. And if I'm in the singer's ear, say, hey man, you might want to watch that vowel. That vowel's too high. Get the larynx down by singing slightly. What are you doing? Hold back! You're about to fall off the cliff. Man, I would just take the microphone, throw it down, take the guitar, smash it, and run off stage, cry. I can't do that. That's so distracting. I have one choreographer friend, amazing choreographer. Man, one of the artists just loves the way he talks to the artist, and he swears and cusses, and I'm like, mute his microphone from what I need to hear. I don't want to hear that. I find it very distracting, but it empowers that particular artist. And I'm like, okay, that's what they like. I'm not doing that. That's not what I do.
So when you're listening in during the actual set, are you interjecting at all or finding the moments to do it? Or is that more of informing your day to day?
With one artist, we have I have what is called the bat line.
The bat line?
Yeah. Bat line. So if I send a message, because anytime the artists see me, and I only show up when needed, you know what I'm saying? And I have hand signals. I have an iPad that I travel and put notes in, But I'll get into their sight line and flip it up, light it up, and then they'll see me and I'll act like I'm dancing with the fans, and I'll throw up hand signs, hand gestures, and the artists know what that means.
Gotcha.
And then they'll be on stage rocking. Oh, I got it. And then move on. And nobody ever catches it. You know what I'm saying? Not unless you're one of my students that are in the audience. And it's like, oh, I saw what you were doing.
Yeah.
It turns into that type of thing. And then I disappear. They won't find me in that spot again. You know what I'm saying?
There's the Batman. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the bat line is if I'm so far out and I hear something, I'll send it to front of house, or I'll send it to one of our techs that work closely with the artist that'll have to bring the artist certain things, and then they'll put a note at the riser, do X, Y, and Z. You know, if the person is doing a lot of clearing of the throat during the show, could be allergy or food related, and I'll have to gargle with like a wash. Yeah, and this gargle is called alcohol. I'll just have them take a shot.
Okay.
Alcohol, not alcohol. You know, I had one time when the artist took a shot glass and the audience went, yeah, and then you spit it out, and then boo. I was crying, laughing on the side of the stage because it actually gets rid of that scratchiness right away.
Okay.
Almost immediately. So I'll use that. I'll send that over and make sure they do it. And then when they come back to the mic, you'll hear clarity really quickly. Yeah. So I have my little tricks and tools, but I try and stay out of the sight line of the artist until they're having some challenges. And then I'll go back to a spot where they can see me, throw up a few hand signs. They're not gang signs, but little hand signals that have meaning for certain things. So if the singer is singing, for instance, if they're singing really wide like this the whole time without me singing, what do you notice?
Yeah, all this tight throat.
Tight tension, all that stuff right away. And so I'll just simply go up and be like this. That means stay more vertical, bring the mouth in, drop the jaw, keep it slightly goofy.
Oh.
Bam. Yeah. Quick adjustment right away. And then I walk off and disappear. Yeah. And now sometimes I'll see them looking back for me like, where's he going? You know what I mean? But I don't want to be that guy that feels like he has to be seen telling the artist what to do. No. This is your show. Yeah, we just need to make an adjustment, get you back in line. And then sometimes artists will get to the point to where they'll oversing so much. And I have two friends that are professional prize fighters, right?
Okay.
They say when you throw a haymaker as hard as you can, you're trying to really knock somebody out. But when you miss, it takes more energy than it does if you connect. And I
Because
was
now
like,
you've got to stop all that movement.
yeah, you got to
Yeah.
stop all that and try and bring the arm back and protect yourself without you getting knocked out.
Mm.
So it's a lot that goes in there. So I have talked to singers like when they starting to go off the edge by over singing so hard, they don't have enough in the bag to last the next hour and a half, 2 hours of the set. So
Yeah.
they got to be like a prize fighter and be smart. Not saying singing scared, but you got to pick and choose where you're going to go, pow, throw a haymaker, then come back in and then jab. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You know, set up the haymaker. So now when the other person's arms drop, now they're exposed. You know what I'm saying? And then you can tell the stories without overthinking, am I going to make it through this performance or not? That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have a coach that would say like as a singer, you've got a certain amount of money you get to spend each night. And so if you spend all that at the beginning of the set, you're going to be broke by the end and everybody's going to tell, yeah.
Hey man, can you loan me $2? I need help.
And well, that's why they got you in the front row. You can throw a few bucks their way.
Yeah, right.
I'm wondering, because you had this strong background, like as a singer primarily, you weren't planning on being a vocal coach.
Yeah.
You kind of evolved in that scenario and then become like a massive career. How has your thought process changed as a singer, having made that transition from being singer focused to coach focused? Or production focused?
It's a selfless act when you're a singer and willing to take the back seat to help and serve others, and I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? I see the kind of pressure and the kind of stress from being an artist and what it takes to be out front all the time.
Yeah.
And when I came out as an artist, we didn't have all this social media stuff where they could use their phones and record in real time what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I did some silly things as an artist that, like one of the things I did, I was getting ready to perform on BET's Video Soul or Video LP, where I was being launched on BET with Sherry, I can't think of her name. Ooh, please forgive me. And Donnie Simpson and all of them. And I was performing on the show, and I did 2 songs, and I decided to go to a high school football game. I always wanted to be an artist in high school that came out of high school, that had the girl in high school and did the music video and all that stuff. And it didn't happen until I got out of high school. But anyway, and I decided to go to this football game, me and some friends, and I got sick. I got the flu. That performance was that Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. And I performed on the show sick. And I regretted it to this day because it wasn't my best performance. It wasn't my best foot. And I took something as simple as going to a high school football game. There's going to be next season. There's going to be another game after that. Yeah. And I felt like I took a chance by doing something I thought was really foolish. I should have never did that. Still sung and sounded well, but I knew in my heart of hearts it wasn't my best. And so taking stuff like that and applying it into other artists that I work with. Okay, hey, we got to do the Today Show. We have to do Good Morning America. The call time for that is they're going to send a vehicle at 4:30 in the morning. So we have to be ready for all of those things. So for me, I'm like, hey, well, if the call time is at 4:30 in the morning, they're going to pick us up. That means you have to be up with me at 2 a.m. on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Why is that important? Well, the body is still sleeping at that time. You got sound check at 5:30. They're going to record that sound check at 5:30 in the morning. And so how do we trick the body into thinking that it's later in the day? Get up early. Get on the treadmill. In fact, I'll get on it with them. Yeah, early in the morning.
Are you putting them to shame out here on this treadmill? You've got it,
man,
hiking up the side of a mountain.
Man, hey, if we got to do it, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I won't do with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll get up and do that. Or if we do Howard Stern early in the morning, we got to get up. One of my great friends, Adam Zamaripa, he works with me with an artist, and he's a trainer. He's like the Bruce Lee of trainers. He's got all this philosophy. He's smart. He has all these devices and things to help with singers. And for me, I'm like, yo, He needs more. He needs more cardio, to get them lungs open, to shock his lymphatic system, to get all that mucus moving around, that type of thing. And we're so in sync with each other. He already knows,
Yeah.
and he can listen to the show and be like, and we're like Wonder Twins, pow, and that's how it goes. But he's that dope. He's that incredible. So having someone on the road with a voice coach, which is a part of your team, it makes the difference. So for me, transitioning from being the singer, and I still sing, I've gotten to sing on stage with Brandi Carlile. I got to sing on stage with Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds and Mavis Staple, or with them and Stevie Wonder when we was doing a charity benefit in UVA, which was amazing. So I still get called to do certain things like that. But for me, the most important and valuable thing that I absolutely love is watching the light bulb come on with the singers. They get on stage and have the best performance of their life, and they can't get enough of it, Or watching Mumford & Sons with Hozier at FL, and I'm just saying something recently, or being at the Super Bowl with Chris Stapleton singing the national anthem, and then walking off the field only to go right next door and walk back on the field with Rihanna while she's doing a halftime show. It's moments like that are like, that makes me go, oh my gosh, God is my manager, and I get to do this for a living and help artists on this level. Or work with Andre Day before her award show, or Mary before their Super Bowl performance, or I could just keep going. Justin Timberlake before his halftime show of the Super Bowl, or all the different performers around the Super Bowl, because there's tons of concerts that happen around Super Bowl that are all equally as insane. Yeah, but don't get the notoriety. Yeah,
it sounds like because part of what got us into this was this idea of like what in what ways did you change, or did the way that you think about things change? And it sounds like what you're saying is that you started focusing on service to people.
Oh, yeah.
And it almost became like a spiritual flip, and like when you're there to take care of people, this is kind of actually the best way it goes.
That's exactly.
That's
Serving
awesome.
Serving others. Yeah. It brings me so I can't even begin to tell you, so much joy. Yeah. Or they have them call me, be like, hey, are you available for this? And then I just sit in the corner. I'm like, wow, this is what I get to do for a living. This is how I provide for my family. Those moments are incredible. Or last year through another voice coach who I highly respect, Eric Vitro, he called me to work on these two shows. We were supposed to do them together, and he's an incredible voice coach, and I pray you get to interview him as well. He's incredible, and someone I look up to. And he called me to work on this show with Simon Cowell called The Next Act. And they were supposed to do it in LA, and then I couldn't get to LA because I was in Mexico working with the festivals. And then also Fish was on the week after Dave and Tim there. So it's like 3 bam, bam, bam festivals. And also for another show that they didn't call Santos Bravos, but it was a show working with another band that he couldn't be with because he works with a lot of the, singers as well in LA. And because it's a massive hub, everybody's got to stop in LA at some point and go see him. And then he's doing movies. Mentor, that's how I call Vitro.
Yeah.
But he wound up calling me to go and work on these two shows. And I got to do the Netflix show with Simon Cowell and build a relationship with him on that show. And then Santos Bravos, that was filmed out of Mexico City, got to work with those boys to help get them together through Hype, who has all the biggest K-pop artists in the world. So those are things I'm very proud of, but it's very rare that, coaches would call and look out for each other. Like myself, it's enough work out there for all of us, but there have been some jobs that I wanted to work on that I knew I couldn't because I was either booked. And I'm like, yo, check this coach out. They're really amazing. Go check this coach out. They're incredible. You might want to work with like that. And so, I feel like when you put out good and serve others, it comes back in other forms. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's nice to it sounds like it's nice to occupy the space where it's there's not a competitive spirit to the thing. It's like, but if you're focusing on service in a way, then it's like, okay, let's just keep moving
That's right.
as positively as possible.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like do you feel like the way that you work with an artist, or that the terms you use, or the anatomy understanding, or the focus points, do you feel like that type of approach is kind of universal across high level vocal coaches, or do you think everybody kind of gets their own style?
Yeah.
Is there like stylistic differences? You got the R&B people versus the rock people. How are people? What's the shared language, and what's kind of the more exclusive language?
I think science is always evolving.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, people talked about mix, and in the world of science, they're saying mix happens on every single note.
Mm-hmm.
But as a singer and voice coach, something is still happening in between chest and head voice for me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go E. it just doesn't do that, man. And even if you held the note and just glide it all the way from the chest voice all the way up as high as you can and right back down, something still transitions in the middle part of that voice.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, if you investigate songs, the choruses of a lot of those songs sit right there in the middle. I call that the attention getting side of singing. If I'm on the voice and I'm like this, I'm like, oh yeah, the verse is good. It's a pretty awesome. As soon as I get to the chorus, bam. Oh, I didn't expect that to happen, but that voice sold me, which what I think is the most magical part of being on a show like The Voice, is that you have to hear something, you have to connect with something, and you got to definitely feel something before they hit that button on the chair and turn around. And so when I see those things, I think that's important for me.
Mm. Yeah. I was trying to, I like the science side of it too, and I'm trying to continue learning about things. So this seems like just like you're describing, how there's kind of a debate about like, what is the head voice, chest voice? What's the mix? What is the mix? We know it's something. What's the best info I found on it so far was like the difference in like close quotients. You know what I'm talking about? Like the difference in time between close versus open, but that it also seems to be variety in that based on like the singer's voice type, male or female.
Yeah, but like you said, every coach stylistically is going to teach according to that first and foremost. Mm-hmm. Like if you have a singer that specializes or came from Broadway world, that doesn't mean they didn't listen to anything else, but I can almost expect that they're going to come and teach from that angle first and then try and branch out to other areas.
Sure.
I was raised in the church, R&B, gospel, a little bit of jazz, classical is in there. I also, as a child growing up, listened to Cinderella, listen to AC/DC, listen to punk music. It's all what I took in here and in here growing up. And that influenced my coaching. You know what I'm saying? So when I go out as a coach, man, I had sessions with Uncle Willie Nelson and his sons, Micah and Lucas, the greats my father used to listen to. And I used to listen to them with my dad while my dad would take me on his truck driving trips. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, Redheaded Stranger.
Yeah. And then Charlie Wilson of the Gap Band, who I grew up with, like, oh my gosh, and then having a chance to work with him, I'm like, wow. Or Joni Mitchell, who I was introduced by Brandi Carlile, or Annie Lennox. My taste in music is so wide to where that influenced my coaching. So I never wanted to be limited to a particular style. Now I can teach the riffs and runs because that's embedded in me from church and R&B and all of that. But in Broadway, I've been able to work with a lot of Broadway artists that are looking to learn those things as well. And so I'm like, oh yeah, let me help. Blah, 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 blah. And I'll do that with some of the biggest country artists in the world. So my influence I'm able to give them a lot of things that they were, number one, looking for or weren't able to get out of some of the stuff that they were doing because they were either not saying afraid, or they would say, oh, I can't do melismas. That's not something I do. Well, melismas are just scale patterns based on instinct and timing. That's all that is.
Yeah.
And then that eliminates the fear of learning. And then I just try to make it fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always curious, like some teachers where the approach is like, what can I help you do right here? what can I like physically help you find versus what can I expose you to, because ultimately like you have to hear this to be
Yes.
able to do this. So having such like a wide span of kind of like musical tentacles that you can pull, like, oh, like sometimes when I listen to sometimes when I listen to Willie Nelson,
Yeah.
I hear that he was listening to the jazz stuff coming through early radio, right? Because he's got his little chromatic runs, his little
That's right.
sidesteppy piano type things. It's so cool, but like out of context, unless you have that context, you can't really connect those dots. And it's got to be super fun to connect those dots for other people.
It is, or even with a Chris Stapleton. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, you're what kind of singer? You're a country singer. I'm like, oh no,
Are
man,
you? Yeah.
you're a soul singer singing country. To me, it's so much soul in that man, and his willingness to want to learn and be better and grow, and that's where my heart is like, wow, this dude, he's already here. Or with the Dave Matthews, who's already here. You understand what I'm saying? And just wanting to be better, and tell these stories and inspire people, give people hope, and all those things. And I find that very, very beautiful. And if you can find a coach that's willing to grow with you, stay with that coach. I mean, stick it out. Yeah.
Well, I think you have a beautiful perspective, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us.
Yeah.
Before we cut this episode off, what do you wish that singers knew or thought about more?
What I wish singers knew or thought about more is that if they realize that, and I know the big saying, I've been saying it for years, not saying I was the first one that ever came up with it, but singers are athletes, no question about it. If you think a 30-minute set, that's cool. Hour set, it starts to get interesting. Hour and a half set, you're fully immersed into it. And there's some conditioning and training you have to do in order to be able to maintain that kind of workload. 2 hours, if you're not training, you're preparing, you might as well prepare to logistically have a team in place to reschedule tours and tour dates. If you're not training and exercising your voice regularly. Exercising your voice doesn't mean I'm going to sing 8 songs a day. No. Vocal training and vocal training versus a vocal warm-up. You might use some of the same ideas, but training is working on specific areas in the voice. Warm-ups is stretching the voice out like you would see an athlete warming up, stretching their body before going out on the court and playing basketball. But then there's off-season training that builds strength, that helps them crossover, help them be able to jump higher, help them be able to have more endurance. That's what training does for singers like that. I have singers that are going to do 2.5 to 3 hour sets back to back to back.
Yeah.
That's a lot of singing.
That's a ton of singing.
That's a lot of singing. People are like, I could do that. Well, name one sport that's going to have you do that back to back to back. Even baseball, they have subs. That same pitcher ain't going to pitch the same night. The coach going to take him out the game before he blow his shoulder out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wise. It's too much at stake for you not to have a coach. And not every coach but not every artist bond gel with me.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell them, I'm like, yeah, I might not be the right one for you. You might want to go and see such and such down the street or such and such over here.
Like just a communication style difference, or?
Well, I don't even think it's communication. I just think what they're looking for, there's got to be chemistry, number one, in order for anybody to grow. Relationships, y'all got to have chemistry in order to build something together. Sometimes you'll hit a brick wall and it doesn't work anymore. That doesn't mean just get a divorce or just figure out what that problem is. And for me, if it ain't working, I'm like, hey, go and work with this coach over here. They might be able to get you to an area where what in my interpretation may not have worked for you. And that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that. Go do that. Let that help you. And then they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, he don't like me. He thinks I'm work. No, a true coach wants what's best for the artist. End of story. Now, will I miss you? Yes, I'm going to miss you. You my baby. We done been in the trenches together. Oh my God. Yes. But it's all about your growth. Simple as that.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I think that's such a cool through line that I've just been hearing like throughout this entire little conversation is just like a constant framing and emphasis on like really like what is this for the other person? Like I feel like if we went like fully into it,
Yeah.
you'd be like, yeah, this has like nothing to do with me. Like I'm here to do the thing for the, yeah, that's really cool. And it's such a kind of laced into not necessarily tying these together, not hopefully not overstepping and tying these things together, but the little bit of minister talk, like saying like you're receiving something, you're giving something. There's connection there. There's a spirit of service there. That's like got to just be like such a nourishing angle to exist.
God
in.
is my manager, man. I don't know if you didn't figure that out. God is my manager.
Well, he's got you booked tight, man.
Wait, we got a good thing happening. Ain't messing it up for nobody. How about that?
All right. Well, Mr. RaAb Stevenson, thank you so
Yes.
much for spending
Thank
time
you so much,
here
Aaron.
on Vocal
So
Talk.
good to see you.
We'll put all the links and everything in the description if you want to learn more about RaAb. And tune in next time. Y'all have a good day.
You got it. Be great. All right.
Thanks for listening to Vocal Talk. If you found this conversation valuable, be sure to follow the show and share it with others in the vocal community.